for sale by owners. My first deal I found driving for dollars. I talked to a for sale by owner. I got the house under contract at $40,000. I actually didn't even get it under contract. I didn't even know how the process worked. I just knew to find a house that was a little less than what everyone else in the market was going for, other houses. And so I reached out to this guy on LinkedIn or Facebook, and he came the same day. And I thought it was a good thing, but he came the same day after he looked up the house, and after I gave him a price. I told him 45 for this $40,000 house. He looked up the house, he looked up the price, and he said, hey, I'm coming to get it. So I think it was the same day he drove down. I didn't even have it under contract. I didn't even know how to do it. I didn't have contracts. So he looked at the house, and I had to leave my buyer with my seller for my house that wasn't under contract, to go to the library to look up contracts, to print one out, and to sign it with the seller and the buyer. And I think I had to leave twice. It was bad. But me not understanding, not knowing my numbers, I actually just got started on YouTube. I sat down for like 2-3 weeks while I was in the middle of transitioning, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna get out there and go. So I went out there and found this deal. But anyway, so once I got the contract, I put on the contract with the seller. But I think I had to go back and get another contract and put on the contract with the buyer. I had to get assignment agreement. So it's just a funny story. But I made $5,000 off of that first deal. And I should have made like 15, 20, but not knowing my numbers, you leave money on the table, So it's also good to have your education up front, learn those things, get a mentor, somebody who's been doing it for some time that can help you out and kind of, make sure that you're getting the best, or you're helping these sellers out the best that you can and giving the buyers good deals, because you want to have good relationships with your buyers. These buyers are going to be buying from you more than once. Now, that doesn't mean that you let them talk you down on your price if you know your price is good. That just means that you bring them good inventory, so you don't have to drop your price just because they want you to facilitate that relationship, because you don't need people like that in your life. You don't want people that's going to try to take money out of your pockets just because. If the deal is not good and it doesn't work, then yeah, we can drop the price. But otherwise, if you just want a discount just because you want it, just because you don't value my services, then we don't need to do business. You can find your houses somewhere else. So for sale by owners, they are for sale by owner for a reason. They're not going with a realtor because they want to try to sell it on their own, or a realtor is going to take too long, or they want to keep more money in their pockets. Because think about it. When you sign with a realtor, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, the house is going to stay on the market for a while. So what that means is that if they're living in a house, they're going to have what's called carrying costs. Carrying costs is where you living in a house, so you have all the expenses to pay. You have to pay the utilities. You got to make sure you keep the grass cut and everything. The utilities is the biggest expense. Living in the house, you have to have everything on. So while you're waiting for your house to sell 2, 3, 4 months, you have to pay those utilities for 2, 3, 4 months. Also, if your property is on the market for 4 months and you get a buyer, it's more than likely not going to be a cash buyer. They're going to be going through the bank, which is going to take 45 to 60 days for them to get their money. So that's 6 months right there. They're going to be paying for that house for 6 more months. So they're losing money every single month paying those expenses. Also, you got to pay the realtor. So, I'm not a big fan of taking money out of anyone's pocket. So I'm not going to tell my realtor, hey, I know you charge 6%, but I'll give you 4% for this property. I want to make sure everyone eats whenever they're dealing with me. So I'm not going to cut their price. So, you might have started out at $100,000. Now, after 6 months of paying for these expenses, you've been paying $500 a month. That's $3,000. Plus, you got to pay your 6% to the realtor. That's $6,000. That's $9,000 that you're losing already. Plus, they're going to negotiate down the price. Regardless of whatever you had it on the market for, after all of that time, you're going to go down on your price because it's not selling. So there must be some reason. The location is good, but the price is not. So, you got to drop the price for that. So you're losing money that way. Then once you drop the price, they're still going to talk you down some. So you're losing money from negotiations. And a lot of times you'll end up, the homeowner will end up almost around the same price that you would get them as a wholesale deal. So they're not really wasting out. They're not missing out on a lot of money. They are saving a lot of time though. So that's where you position yourself and say, look, I know XYZ. You go to a realtor, you have this much fees. You're going to also have to pay your own closing costs. So that's some more money that comes out of pocket. And if you work with me, I have investors, or I am an investor, where we can close on this deal in 21 days. and I can pay you all cash. Now you'll get less with me, but we'll save you a lot of time. So that's a good way to look at it. And also for sell by owners, you can also educate them in the process. So while you're educating them, even if they don't work with you, they might know someone else who's looking to sell a property and they want to go with you. I mean, think about it. We're in 2021 right now, recording this video. And 2020 just happened. COVID just happened. A lot of people lost their jobs, they lost their income, and they're going to be losing their houses more than likely. So you also want to have good relationships with your sellers. Even if you don't sell with them, if you don't do business with them, at least educate them on the process. Tell them what I just told you about the realtor and all the fees. And, they might still want to go that route. And then maybe later on down the line, they might say, well, this guy was actually right. It took him 4 months to get to sell this property. And maybe we should call him back for our other 3 that we have to sell that we just inherited, or whatever whatever happens. But also just make sure you're being ethical. Talk to everyone, have good conversations, build rapport, and, look for business down the line.